Okay, guys, my little daily driver, my little putter, my little Subaru Outback, it left me stranded on the side of the road the other day. And I had to walk home, actually. Good thing it conked out on me around the corner from my house. So anyway, I don't know what's wrong with it. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to try to do a little troubleshooting here, document it, and share it with you guys. See if we can figure out what caused the car not to run anymore. It literally died while I was driving it. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to try to restart it right this second, see if it restarts. I don't think it will. So here we go. I'm going to try to restart. Okay, it's dead. So it did sound like it wanted to start for a split second, which is a good thing. So it's either ignition or fuel, which caused the car to go ahead and conk out on me. So we're going to go ahead and see if we can eliminate the problem if it's either ignition or fuel. So that's kind of the next step. When I cranked it a second ago, you may have heard it just try to sound like it wanted to start. So that's telling me that the ignition system is probably okay. It's telling me that we might have a fuel pump issue. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to see if we can eliminate that right now. So I've got some carb spray, carb choke cleaner. So this is how we can tell very quickly if it's an ignition problem or a fuel problem. So I'm going to spray my carb spray into the air filter box, and I'm going to try to start the car. If the car sounds like it's going to want to start, that means it's going to run off the carb spray temporarily. So that means the ignition system isn't working, the spark piece is working, and we've got a fuel delivery problem. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try that right now. Okay, I've just disconnected this air routing ductwork, and I'm just going to go and I'm going to spray some of this into the air filter area. Okay, so now if this thing starts or wants to start, then it's going to be a fuel issue. Okay. It wanted to start. It ran for, a minute second off the spray that I sprayed in there, the fumes. So that's telling me the ignition system is probably okay. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to look into the fuel, or go towards the fuel system. Okay, Subaru did a good job on this, alright. They've got an access panel under the seat to go ahead and access the top of the fuel sending unit where the fuel pump is located. So what we need to do is we need to flip the seat up, and there should be an access panel underneath the seat. I have not checked yet, but let's go ahead and do that right now. Okay, here you go. On most vehicles, you have to access the fuel sending unit and the wiring underneath the car, but Subaru did an excellent job on this, and they've got an access panel with the wire and connector right down here, and we're going to go ahead, we're going to test for a signal at the wire connection before we take this apart. If we've got a signal to the fuel pump, then it's probably a fuel pump issue. So that's next. Okay, I've unplugged the electrical connector to the wiring harness to the fuel pump assembly, and I've got a test light onto one of the pins according to the wiring diagram. So what we should see is when I turn the key on and crank, we should see that test light light up. If that test light light up, that's telling me that the fuel pump relay is working and it's sending a signal to the pump. And I'm just going to cycle the key. It should go on, and after a couple of seconds it should go off, the light. If it does, it's working correctly. Here we go. Okay. Alright, that was good. That's the way it's supposed to do. Now when I go ahead and crank the vehicle, the light should stay illuminated. Okay, so it's working properly. So it looks like the wiring is okay, fuel pump relay is okay. So I think my problem is a faulty fuel pump. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to remove the cover, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to see what we got underneath the cover that accesses the fuel pump area. On the passenger side, underneath the back seat, they've got a cover here, which is nice. Again, most cars, you have to access this underneath the vehicle by dropping the gas tank. So Subaru was pretty smart on this one. So I pull the 4 screws out, I've removed the cover, and that gains us access to the sending unit. So we've got to pull the fuel lines off. Looks like we've got a connector. We got another fuel line right here, and we should be able to pull this off. Now, I noticed something that's kind of interesting. Number one, there was a piece of tape that went across this. I don't know if you guys can see it, and I noticed it was broken. So what that means is someone has probably been in here before me. Also too, I noticed one other thing. This hose clamp is in the wrong position. This hose clamp is supposed to be right here. You could see where it was supposed to go. So with those 2 signs, I could tell someone's been in here before and replaced the fuel pump at some point. So again, we're kind of like an investigator as we're going through this. So I'm going to pull this apart, and so this might be the second fuel pump that this car has had replaced. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pull the fuel lines off, take the bolts off, and let's see what we got. Okay, I've got the assembly out of the Subaru. Okay, so this is the whole assembly. So it has the fuel pressure, or I'm sorry, fuel level gauge here built into it. And it's also got the pump built into it. And it also has some sort of a solenoid, probably something for the venting of the gas tank, I'm assuming, is in here. So got some other venting and stuff like that involved with this too. So this is the whole unit that's $350. So I'm going to take a look at this real quick. And there's the fuel pump located inside this whole unit. Okay, so I couldn't get the other one apart without breaking it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and replace the whole sending unit with a new one out of this box. So here's the new one. Should be just drop in, hook up the connection, ready to go. After further inspection on this one, it does say Subaru on it, so if this is a replacement one, someone replaced it with a factory Subaru unit, which I guess is a good thing. This one is an aftermarket unit, so we're going to go ahead, we're going to install this, and we're going to just see how it goes. Hopefully this solves the problem. New unit dropping in. Okay, just gonna double check them by hand. Okay, looks good. So the job is done. New fuel pump is installed. So with any luck, this thing is going to start. I'm going to give it a shot. So there you guys have it. The Subaru is fixed. It was a faulty fuel pump. $350, and that was definitely a do-it-yourselfer at home. Any of you guys, for this particular vehicle, Subaru, it's very simple to go ahead and replace the fuel pump on the Subaru. Okay, so after replacing the fuel pump in the Subaru, we've got a check engine light on now. So what we're going to do is we're going to scan the car, and we're going to go ahead, we're going to see why it possibly has a check engine light. Could be fuel related. So here we go. Problem number 2. Okay, we've got our snap-on scan tool. So I've got to go ahead and I've got to plug the connector into the OBD2 connector underneath the dashboard. In this case, it's pretty simple. It's just right there, and we're powered up. And I've got to go ahead. I got to set this scan tool up to go ahead and read the car.
Subaru. Switch ignition on. Codes.
Switch ignition on. Codes. Current codes. No codes present. Interesting. Okay, so I got a fuel temperature sensor A circuit, which is high. So that may have to do with the fact that I had everything unplugged and plugged back in, or a new one, because that fuel temperature sensor might be on that fuel sending unit that I disconnected and reconnected. So I'm going to go ahead and reset the code, and it very well could just go right off. Okay.